Good morning. Welcome to another reading vlog. Hurrah. I'm in a bit of a better mood than I was last week, so that's nice for everybody, isn't it? However, I've still got a little body problem, but we'll get there, won't we? Welcome to a very chilled reading vlog. The 2 days that I'm going to vlog are basically at-home reading days. Sorry, David's just feeding Daphne. Those days do include Valentine's Day, so you'll get a little loved up Valentine's Day session with us. And also the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction long list was announced on Wednesday this week, when I was in London, in fact, with my dad at the Natural History Museum. And I obviously want to read as many of those books as possible, but I thought now would be a good time to have a little reaction to that. Not right now, but in this video, and talk you through what the books are about, what I'm excited about, what I'm prioritising. Oh, he's getting in. Can he do it without knocking the camera over? Here he is. And I'm already reading To Be Young, Gifted and Black by Kadiatu Kanemason. So, yeah, but we will go into more of that in a moment. David's just taking his iron tablet.
I'll just take the stinky one.
We've just learnt from a video that my sister sent me that we've been taking our supplements all wrong. We've been taking them at night time when apparently they do literally nothing. So we've had a little reset and we now take the iron tablet in the morning, and we're supposed to take it with some vitamin C, but there is not one drop of vitamin C in this house. Well, there's a pepper. We can have a little sliver of pepper.
I want a sliver of pepper in the morning.
I want a slither of pepper in the morning. And then we'd take our vitamin D with food. And then in the evening, we can take our vitamin B12 there. Although I'm sure loads of people will be commenting saying, no, you shouldn't do that. This is what you should do. So we shall see. David, would you like to show the book you're reading?
Yeah.
David is on his 3rd book of the year. It's not even the end of February yet. He's reading
called The Racket. And it's about Irish...
Who's it by?
Connor
Neeland?
Neeland. So he's an Irish tennis player. He was never big, but he was once Ireland's #1 tennis player.
Oh.
And it's basically just about his life as a tennis player, that he never quite reached the top. It sounds like he was a very mid-level tennis player, like played at Wimbledon and I think all the big ones, but he never really excelled to I think what he was hoping for. And it's basically just his story of what kind of goes on behind the scenes of the tour.
I bet it sounds like you would enjoy it, but it took a little bit of time to get into it.
It did, yeah.
You're now into the bit where he's playing and he's excited because he's just beaten Roger Federer as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll focus back on me now if that's all right.
Yeah, bye.
So yes, so I think what we'll do, I'll change my art. Oh, someone just fell over. This is my Art a Day calendar that my sister got me for Christmas. And it's a fantastic present and I'm having a wonderful time with it. And I'm about to put today's art on, which is, oh my god, it's absolutely gorgeous. Look at that, by Claude Monet.
Well, it's nice.
La Route de Betiel, Effet de Neige. Neige means snow. 1879, oil on canvas. Look at that.
Oil.
We haven't seen any snow.
Oil be seeing you.
We'll be seeing you. But there we go, so that's lovely. That's going to sit next. Oh god, that's gorgeous. It really is a good present. Well done to my sister. I'm having a great time with it. So yeah, so I think maybe we'll sit in bed, read for a bit, have a cup of tea, and then I'll take you into the lounge and I'll talk you through the 5 books I'm reading. I don't even know how I've got myself in this situation. I was trying to be like, oh, I'm taking things much easier this year and there's never going to be a situation where I've got more than 1 or 2 books on the go at the moment. 5 today. But yeah, I'll take you through to there and I'll talk you through the actual weekend and plans and stuff like that. You coming up, Daphne? Davy's just doing a Sudoku. No, she's got the windows open this morning, not wide open, we ain't letting her out. But February with windows open is quite nice, isn't it? Bit of air change.
Fresh air.
See you in there. I'm just about to have my breakfast. It's the last of the shreddies. Sorry, David. And I'm going to finish the chapter of To Be Young, Gifted and Black under my special crochet blanket, and then I'll talk you through the plans and the reading plans for the weekend. Let's go. Ah, yeah. They were nice. The old shreddies. But yeah, here I am telling you about the weekend. So it's Friday. I'm shortly going to have a daytime bath, which I'm very much looking forward to. And do a bit of reading in the bath and then get out and relax. And yeah, I think the whole weekend is basically going to be sort of gentle reading. I've got the walking book here, but there are no walks this weekend. And there are no recipes cooked from here because sometimes you just have to have a weekend where you're being a realist. So there's no walks this weekend because it is basically chucked it down all week. And I would say the majority of these walks, potentially one which looks quite exposed, are on like muddy paths and footpaths and stuff like that. And I just think we need to know our limits, which is a shame because there's a chance we won't get any walking done in February because of that very reason. But yeah, it would be wild, I think, to go and try and do one of these ones. The only one I think that might be dry is the St Margaret's Bay and South Foreland one. So maybe we'll look at doing that early March, maybe. So yeah, so no walks this weekend. There will be a walk. David and I will walk down to the beach where we live. But no walks out of the book. And also no recipe out of Anna Jonesy Dwin's. I did have plans to make for dinner tonight jammy onion salsa verde flatbreads, which I imagine would be delicious, but we are currently trying to get through the stuff in our freezer in order to defrost it so that we've got room to put things in the freezer because it's gone wild. So we're going to have a fish pie tonight. And I also had a vegetable box delivered on Tuesday which had leeks, carrots, potatoes in there, so I can use all of those things for dinner tonight. So being sensible and not buying stuff to cook because I've already got stuff to cook here. So that's the plan. So soz none of those regular things. I will be ending, as always, on a piece of Black history for every day of the year from David Olusoga's book. And I can tell you because it will be Valentine's Day. Oh, I wonder if it's Valentine's Day related. Let's have a look. I can tell you who it will be about. It will be about Frederick Douglass, and he has got a 3-page spread. Wow, okay. So that'll be exciting to read about him. So I'll be reading about him at the end of the vlog and then feeding back to you what I've learned. The question, before I get on to the books that I'm reading, there's just so much crap everywhere. The question comes from one of you guys. It's a great question. And the question is, you're hosting a fantastical literary dinner party where the guests eat the novels. What books do you choose to serve for an entree, or if you're in the UK like me, starter, main and dessert? You're hosting a fantastical literary dinner party where the guests eat the novels. What books do you choose to serve for an entree, main and dessert? So we'll be answering that at the end of the vlog. Right, the book. So like I said, I've got 5 bloody books on the go at the moment, and one of the big plans for this year's reading was to slow down on the reading, keep it gentle, keep it light, only really have 1 or 2 books on at the go at the time being. No need to rush. I'm not even counting the amount of books I'm reading on Instagram when I'm reviewing books there. I am logging them on Storygraph and things like that, so there will be numbers somewhere. But somehow I've ended up with 5 books on the go, and I can tell you how that's happened. So I was reading, and I imagine I probably will finish off at some point this weekend, East Side Voices, which is edited by Helena Lee, and it's essays celebrating East and Southeast Asian identity in Britain. I am reading this for my non-fiction reading challenge, which as always will be linked down below. And this was the book that met the prompt, collection of essays. It's been on my shelf for quite some time, and yeah, it's a collection of essays from Asian and Southeast Asian authors about all sorts of things, identity, and yeah, I've been enjoying it very much. So I took that to London with me when I went on Wednesday. My dad and I went to London on Wednesday, and while I was there, the Women's Prize for non-fiction got announced, and I was near Foyles. I mean, the story was that I ended up going to 3 bookshops in order to get this, but I picked up one of the books from the long list, and there'll be a whole chat later on in this video once I'm washed and my hair is clean, about the Women's Prize for non-fiction long list. But this one I knew I really wanted, so I went to 3 bookshops in order to get it, and I started it when I was in London, just because I knew I wanted to. So that's how I've ended up with 2 on the go. The third one, how I've ended up with on the go, is because when I'm in the bath, I find it very hard to read hardbacks in the bath because they're so heavy. So I picked up a paperback that I had from the library, and I thought, well, I'll read that in the bath. So that's how I've ended up with 3 books on the go. And this is London Rules by Mick Herron. This is the 5th in the series, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the 5th in the Slow Horses series. And David and I have been watching, so we have watched the series before, but we started doing this towards the end of last year, whereby I would read the book and we would watch the series along with me reading the book. So, and he is desperate to watch the 5th series, which is the final series that is currently out there for public consumption. So yeah, so that's that. And then I've got 2 audiobooks on the go at the moment, one of which is Mother Mary Come to Me by Arundhati Roy. And that is a memoir about Arundhati Roy, who is a writer, and it's about the relationship she had with her mother, which wasn't a very good relationship. I'm only listened to like 40 minutes of it, so I haven't got loads of thoughts on it yet. But yeah, it's about her life with her mother and her mother's life. And yeah, we'll find out more as we're going. And then I'm also listening to, and I had plans to listen to this for a very long time, but me and Mercedes have been chatting, and Mercedes said one of her favourite books she read last year is We Pretty Pieces of Flesh by Cole Will Brown, which is a fiction book set in Doncaster, and it's written in the Doncaster dialect. And I thought, that sounds like something I really want to listen to. And the author narrates it. And yeah, it's a book about, it's sort of, I guess at the moment it feels like coming of age. Again, I hadn't really listened to much of that before I stopped listening to it to listen to the Arundhati Roy one that have been put on the long list. So yeah, that's how we've got to 5 books. It'll be nice to pare it down a little bit this weekend. I mean, again, she's not rushing, but it'll be nice to at least get down to 4 books. And I could potentially, I mean, both of these are very, all 3 of these are very readable to me, so there is potential for that. But I am about to go and get in the bath, so I will take this along with me. And then the last thing to mention is that tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So David bought me this for Christmas, which is a candle making pottery kit for 2 from Sculpt. And we're going to do this tomorrow, but also this month, for my hobbies video, is air dry clay. So I won't film this for this video, I'll film it for my hobbies video, which will be at the end of the month, because I haven't done any air dry clay this month. And I've got 3 kits to do, which I'll film and tell you my feelings on what it's like to do air dry clay as a hobby. So that'll be coming out at the end of the month. I think that's it. I think now I'll go and have a bath, read a couple of chapters of London Rules, and see you when I'm clean. Bye. It's time! It's time to talk about the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. Brackets long list. Brackets 2026. God, my hair does not look nice like this, does it? So on Wednesday, the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction, can't log into my laptop now, announced its long list for 2026. And I mean, I love the Women's Prize, both fiction and non-fiction, but I feel like the non-fiction prize this year is the place I want to be. What with my, sorry, I've got a really squeaky table. What with my plans for reading 50% fiction and non-fiction this year. Women's Prize 2026. So I was delighted to watch and see the long list unravel. I think it looks great. Why haven't they got... They've got the Women's Prize for Fiction website, but where's the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction website? Prizes. Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. There we go. Yeah, I was delighted to watch it on my phone outside Harrods whilst I... Prizes. Why won't it let me just look at the long list? Come on, be a good... Cool, okay, yeah. So, I mean, it feels very memoir-y, doesn't it? And I'm about to run through all of them. I predicted 4, I'd read 3, and I'm already reading 2 more, and I've got 2 more locked and loaded, ready to go. So shall we work our way through? Don't know when to start. We'll start with, well, let's start with the one that was there, Hotel Exile, which I don't actually believe to be out yet. I think it's out at the end of the month. It's by Jane Rogoyska, and it says here, the Hotel Letitia is a parish institution, the only grand hotel on the city's bohemian left bank. Ever since it opened, it has served as a meeting place for artists, musicians and politicians. Andre Gide took his lunch here, James Joyce lived in one of its rooms, Picasso and Matisse were regular guests. It has a darker history too. During one period, it became a focus for some of the most dramatic and terrible events in recent history. In the 1930s, the Hotel Lutetia, I hope I'm saying that right, attracted intellectuals and political activists forced to flee their homes when Hitler came to power, who met here with the hope of forming an alternative government. But when war came, Paris was occupied and the hotel became the headquarters of the German military intelligence service and the centre of their operation to root out enemies of the Reich. In 1945, the Lutetia was requisitioned once more, this time transformed into a reception centre for deportees returning from concentration camps. Hotel Exile is about what happens on the edges of war. At its heart are three groups of people, I think it's my sister outside, are three groups of people connected to a place, to one another and to the dark ideology, it's not my sister, which dictates the course their lives. A masterpiece of empathy and concision, Jane Regoister's extraordinary new book offers us a visionary of a vision of individual human beings desperately trying to find a path through some of the 20th century's most devastating events. Well, I think it sounds very good. I also think it does sound very similar to another book that's on the long list that I predicted would be on the long list, which is The Finest Hotel in Kabul. Obviously, one's in Paris and one's in Kabul. But sort of people's history told through a hotel, that's quite niche. That's happening twice on this long list. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. Next up we've got With the Law on Our Side, How the Law Works for Everyone and How We Can Make It Work Better by Lady Hale. And I've got a reservation on this at the library, popped a reservation on that same day and it's on its way to me. So this will probably be one that I go to quite next. I didn't read, there was another one on Sister-in-Law last year that was about law. There's a couple of law ones on here this year, but didn't get around to reading it. So this will probably be unlike anything I've ever really read before. So it says, told through captivating real cases in real courts, the former president of the Supreme Court leads us into a deeply entertaining and vitally important top to bottom tour of the law in our land. Our laws and justice system might touch our lives when we have an accident, a wrong is done to us, or we have a family difficulty. They are vast, ancient, and cover everything from the personal to the regulation of our government. But for most of us, they're a web of intimidating institutions and practices. Lady Hale, an inspirational figure admired for her historic achievements and activism, shows us how the law is on our side. Taking us into the complexities of real courts and real decisions, we see that we all have rights: school children, disabled people, workers, minorities, and patients. Here are the true stories from every part of the justice system, from lowly benefits tribunals and magistrates' courts to the lofty heights of the Royal Courts of Justice and the Old Bailey. Stories about the dilemmas of deciding what is right and just, and which invite you to say where justice lies before knowing what the courts decided. We see firsthand how the people whose needs the law is designed to protect actually experience it. With the Law on Our Side is a citizen's guidebook to the law in our land, a top to bottom tour with a supremely expert guide. In captivating stories, it tells us what the law is about, how it works, and most importantly, why we should care about it. I mean, it sounds quite readable, which I'm hoping it will be. Law stuff I always sort of think, oh, I'd check out a bit, to be honest. So hopefully it is quite readable, because I'd be quite up for that. Like I said, it's on its way to me. The next one is To Be Young, Gifted and Black, Creativity and Race in the 21st Century by Kadiatu Kanemason. I have this here. This was one that I bought on the day when I was in London. Very, very excited to read it. Kanemasons are a prolific black family that play, there's 7 children and they all play classical instruments. Sheku was the one that I was more familiar with, just because he played at Harry and Meghan's wedding and I think he won like BBC Young Musician of the Year. But this is the mother of the family writing about what it's like to observe her children making a name for themselves, and in a space which is predominantly white. Well, it is white. There's like so little opportunity for black musicians in there, and it's separated in really, really interesting chapters. At the moment, I'm about to start Social Media and Success, and I've just finished Creativity and Education. But yeah, it's told with such love, which is lovely, because they're obviously her children, so you're hearing about the situations that they are in and the opportunities that they are provided by, like traveling. So for instance, traveling across the world to play your cello in another country and booking a seat for that cello, and then when you get there, they're like, oh sorry, we've given that seat to somebody else, even though you paid for the seat for your cello to sit on. And the worries of losing like your musical instrument, which is your life, your vocation, and just sort of like anecdotes with that, as well as much more serious stuff about what it's like to be a black classical musician in a white space and be constantly told that you're a diversity box, that you're only there because you're a diversity tick in a box, and what that's like, and how that not only is super offensive and super wrong, it also lessens their talent, because you can't be black and good, you've just got to be black, is what is how that feels to people. So yeah, I'm learning so much, and classical music is something that David and I have been dipping our little toes into over the past few years, and I was well aware of the Canamasons because they're sort of classic FM beloveds, but we'll definitely be looking into more of their music and getting some of their vinyls. I've seen they'll be going on some birthday and Christmas lists this year, I'm sure. She says in February. So yeah, very much enjoying that, very much. Already thinking, is that going to be one of my faves? Next up, we've got Sarah Perry, Death of an Ordinary Man. This is out in paperback. I have got a reservation on this at the library, but I might go and have another look at that reservation and see if I can put a reservation on the paperback, because I'd always prefer to read a paperback. So I won't read the blurb for this because I sort of understand what this is about. So Sarah Perry, who is a fiction, well, she's a writer, but I most know her for The Essex Serpent, which some of you guys might remember. It was sort of like a big booktube beloved book. But her father-in-law, David, died in the autumn of 2022, and it happened very suddenly. He got a cancer diagnosis, and then within 9 days he had died. And this is Sarah relaying those last 9 days of his life and what that involved in terms of care from medical professionals and care from herself and family that were around him. I think it's going to be very difficult to read, and particularly for those who've had to deal with family in their last days, but I imagine it's going to be bloody well written because I really enjoyed the Essex Serpent. But yeah, we will have a look, and I love that title, Death of an Ordinary Man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that a lot, so I'll be excited when that gets here from the library. Then we've got The Genius of Trees by Harriet Ricks. That has got a reservation on, and it's on its way to me. I should have said, I think I'm like number 5 in the queue for the Sarah Perry one. So this says, The Genius of Trees tells the mind-expanding story of the inventive and astonishing ways trees learned to shape our natural world. Over hundreds of millions of years, from prehistoric forests to the trees around us today, we see trees using fire as a reproductive tool, harnessing large mammals to spread their seeds, but poisoning smaller, less useful mammals, and splitting rock to create fertile ground in barren landscapes. Because trees, we discover, manipulate... I keep thinking there's people that I know pulling up outside my house. It's nothing to do with me. There's other people in the world apart from people I know. Because trees, we discover, manipulate fundamental elements, plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, and even humankind to achieve their ends. From the laurel cloud forests of the Canary Islands to the magnificent sex-shifting oaks of Iraq, from the giant cicoshas... I saw a giant cicosia on Wednesday at the Natural History Museum. Well... it's, what do you call that? Cross-section of California, to the carbon spinning junipers of the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Trees sculpt their environments. At once transporting an expert, The Genius of Trees gives us hope for the future. It enables us to see trees for the first time, not as victims, but as agents of change in grand ecological narrative and as leading actors in the great drama of life on Earth. Now, last year I read a wonderful book that my friend Philippa had bought for me called The Hidden Life of Trees, which was a sort of graphic novel illustrated information book on trees, and I had a great time with that. So this feels like the next step, really. So I'm looking forward to reading that very much. Then we've got one that I'm listening to at the moment, and that's Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy. Arundhati Roy wrote The God of Small Things. I think that's probably her most famous works, but this is a memoir about her life and her relationship with her mother, which, having listened to about an hour of it so far, it's about 11 hours long, her relationship with her mother was equals not good. So it's going to be very interesting. I will read the blurb because I'm only an hour in. So it says, Arundhati Roy's first work of memoir. This is a soaring account, both intimate and inspiring, of how the author became the person and writer she is today, shaped by circumstance, but above all by her relationship to her extraordinary singular mother Mary, who she describes as my shelter and my storm. Distraught and even a little ashamed at the intensity of the response to the death of the mother she ran from at age 18, Arundhati began to write Mother Mary Comes to Me. The result is this astonishing, disconcerting, surprisingly funny chronicle, unique and simultaneously universal, of the author's life from childhood to present, from Kerala to Delhi. With the scale, sweep and depth of her novels and the passion, political clarity and warmth of her essays, Mother Mary Comes to Me is an ode to freedom, a tribute to thorny love and savage grace, a memoir like no other. So yes, and it's read by the author herself. Then we've got Indignity by Leah Yip. This was one that I should have said the Arundhati Roy one, Mother Mary Comes to Me. I did predict that that would be on the list. I also predicted that Indignity by Leah should have learned how to say the surname, Lauren. Yippee? Ippy? In fact, let me learn that now, because there is no reason at all for me to be here saying should have learned how to do it. How do you pronounce the surname EP? EP. EP. There we go. EP. So I have Leah EP's first book on the shelf, Free, which I still haven't read. I know she's an Albanian author, and this one is about, well, I'll read you the blurb, guys. When Leah EP discovers a photo of her grandmother Lemon honeymooning in the Alps in 1941, posted by a stranger on social media, she is faced with unsettling questions. Growing up, she was told records of her grandmother's youth were destroyed in the early days of communism in Albania. But there Lemon was with her husband, Aslan EP, glamorous newlyweds while World War II raged. What follows is a thrilling reimagination of the past, as we are transported to the vanished world of Ottoman aristocracy, the making of modern Greece and Albania, a global financial crisis, the horrors of war and the dawn of communism in the Balkans. While investigating the truth and her family, EP grapples with uncertainty. Who is the real Lemon EP? What made her move to Tirana as a young woman and marry a socialist who sympathised with the Popular Front while his father led a collaborationist government? And why was she smiling in the winter of 1941? By turns epic and intimate, profound and gripping, Indignity explores what it means to survive in an age of extremes. It reveals the fragility of youth, both personal and political, and the cost of decisions made against the tide of history. Through secret police reports of communist spies, court depositions, and EP's memories of her grandmother, we move between present and past, archive and imagination, fact and fiction. I don't always like that. Ultimately, she asks, what do we really know about the people closest to us, and what moral authority do we judge the acts of previous generations? So, I am a girl who likes things laid out for her, and I don't like having to wade through what's fact and what's fiction, what's reality and what's fantasy. I remember David bought me a non-fiction book on Princess Margaret a couple of years ago. Quite a famous book. I remember it might have been like one of the Waterstones books of the year or something. And I read that not knowing that part of it was fact and part of it was fiction and part of it was an exaggeration and stuff like that. And I just went through it feeling like, God, did all these things happen? So yeah, I didn't get on with that. So maybe that will slip down my list of priorities. It is, I'm number sort of like 2 in the list for it. So maybe that will slip down my list of priorities. The next one is To Exist As I Am. A Doctor's Note on Recovery and Radical Exception by Grace Spence Green. I didn't predict this, but I had read it, which was very exciting to me. And this is Grace's account of a terrible accident that she was involved in. I believe she was, if I remember rightly, she was in a shopping mall, and somebody jumped from the 3rd floor or something, trying to commit suicide, and landed on Grace. And that person, I believe, sort of didn't have any injuries or anything, but Grace was unable to walk from that moment on, and she was a junior doctor at the time, training how to be a doctor, and this chronicles her life up until that point, and what her recovery looked like, and how what the change in her life looked like, and sort of yeah, acceptance. I mean, that's written there in the title there. But yeah, I remember it being very sort of profound and sort of just anything could happen to anyone at any time, really. I remember thinking that many times during the book. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what other people think of this. It's very interesting as well, in the same way that I really enjoyed the book This Is Going to Hurt, and more recently I listened to the audiobook of a doctor called Are You Really the Doctor, about a black doctor working in the NHS. Like, I always find, it might be because I worked for the NHS for 19 years, that I find these types of books about life within the NHS and life within the healthcare system very, very interesting. And this one I found particularly interesting because not only was she a doctor, she was also a patient for a long time as well. So yeah, I found it very interesting. I hope a lot of people get a lot from it. But yeah, I hadn't even considered that would be on there. Next up is Barbara Demick's Daughters of the Bamboo Grove. Great news, she's got it here. I've got to have it read by the 28th of February, so this is probably where I will go to next once I've finished To Be Young, Gifted and Black. But yeah, this is the extraordinary and riveting story of separated Chinese twins, with one twin seized by the authorities and adopted into America by the Samuel Johnson winning award. Oh, sorry, sorry, not adopted by that person, but Barbara Demick has won a Samuel Johnson Award for her previous work, Nothing to Envy. So in 2000, a Chinese woman gave birth to twins in a bamboo grove, trying to avoid detection by the government because she already had 2 daughters. 2 years later, an American couple travelled to Xiangyang to adopt a Chinese toddler they thought had been abandoned. Their understanding had been that China's brutal one-child policy was leading to hundreds of abandoned girls desperate for the care of adopted parents. What they didn't know, and what award-winning journalist Barbara Demick uncovered in 2007 while working as a correspondent in Beijing, was that their daughter had been snatched from her beloved family and her identical twin. Under China's one-child policy, hundreds of poor Chinese were giving up their children due to soaring fines and threats of violence. And more sinister still, international demand for adoptees was skyrocketing, and local officials were forcibly seizing children and trafficking them to orphanages who were selling them abroad. So this is the gripping story of separated twins, their respective fate in China and the USA, and Barbara Demick's role in reuniting them against all odds. And it paints a rich portrait of China's history and culture, and it asks questions about the roots, impact and consequences of China's one-child policy, the ethics of the international adoption, and ultimately the assumptions and narratives we hold about the quality of lives lived in the East and the West. I'm really, really looking forward to reading this, and even more so, I was talking to Mercedes this morning, and she said that she'd read, I can't remember which one she'd read, maybe it was Nothing to Envy, by Barbara Demick when she first started BookTube, and she thought it was absolutely brilliant. So I'm looking forward to some good writing. And also, I always had such an interest in geography when I was younger, and I remember learning about the China's one-child policy, and even as a child myself being like, well, that ain't right. So it's something I've been aware of for a very long time, and looking forward to learning a little bit more about that. So yeah, like I said, that's probably where I will go to next. Then we've got one that I had read as well. This is called Ask Me How It Works, Love in an Open Marriage by Deepa Paul. This was so wild to me because I am in a monogamous relationship, and Deepa explores here and enters into a series of non-monogamous relationships whereby she has a husband and a daughter at home, and she also is in relationships with other, if I remember rightly, just men. I think it's just men. And this was like a real sort of nosy person's dream because she really doesn't hold back. She really tells you everything that you need to know. And I guess the title, Ask Me How It Works, like there's nothing left off the table here. I found it very interesting because it's a life so unlike my own. And actually, for my non-fiction reading challenge next month, there is a prompt called read a book about someone's life who is not like yours at all. And if I hadn't already read this, this would be the book that I would recommend. So if you are in a monogamous relationship and can't see that you would ever do anything like that, then this would be a great book for you to be like, what? Very, very interesting and sort of revealing, and really honest and very readable, very, very readable. I actually gave my copy of this to my cousin afterwards to say, oh, you should read this, just in a sort of like, she's in a monogamous relationship as well, and just to be like, wow, this is wild. So yeah, very good. And like, yeah, I think this is sort of, this would be a good entry into the Women's Prize for non-fiction. If you're sort of like, oh, I don't know if I like non-fiction, this is so readable, so readable. Looking forward to seeing what other people think of that as well. Then next up we have one that I've read and one that I predicted. I actually predicted this would win the women's prize before the long list had even been announced, and that's The Finest Hotel in Kabul, A People's History of Afghanistan by Lisa Doucet, who is a journalist. And yeah, I love this. I really, really love this. I read it so quickly, and in the same way that Hotel, like I said, I've already mentioned it, but it's similar to the Hotel Exile book in that it's a book of the people's history of Afghanistan told through this central point of this hotel in Kabul, and what that looks like for the individuals working inside the hotel, and also for the sort of nameless population of Kabul and indeed Afghanistan. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Very, very readable. Great writing. Great writing. And yeah, Lisa's has got some real good experience. She stayed at the Intercontinental many, many times. Yeah, this would be a great entry as well. Completely different to ask me how it works. But yeah, very, very readable as well. Very much enjoyed it. And I think it will win, she said, having only well, I've read 3. I've read 3, 4, 5, so yeah, I still think it will win. Next up is Artists, Siblings, Visionaries, The Lives and Loves of Gwen and Augustus John by Judith Mackrell. Never heard of this, never heard of Gwen and Augustus John, but they're artists from what I understand. So Judith Mackrell is an acclaimed biographer, and in this book she turns her attention to British brother and sister artists Gwen and Augustus John, and in many ways they were polar opposites. Augustus was the larger of the two, vivid, volatile and promiscuous. He was a hero among romantics and bohemians, celebrated as one of the great British talents of his generation. As a woman, Gwen's place in the art world was much smaller, and her private way of working with a reserved nature meant it was only long after her death that her tremendous gifts were fully acknowledged. But her temperament was as turbulent as her brother's. She formed a passionate attachment to men and women, including a long affair with the sculptor Rodin. And there were other ways in which the two Johns were remarkably alike. As Mackrell vividly reveals, the result is a powerful portrait of two prodigiously talented artists and visionaries whose experiments with form and colour created some of the most memorable work of the early 20th century. And I've done a little bit more looking into this because I was like, I don't even know what to expect from this book. And it does a bit of like sort of sibling profiling, so it looks at people like the Brontes and has a look at their relationships as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It's over 500 pages. I believe it's the only one on the long list over 500 pages. And next month when we're doing the spring prompts for the non-fiction challenge, there is a prompt on there for read a book over 500 pages. So that's what I will probably be reading this for. I mean, obviously I'll be reading it because it's on the long list as well, but that's where I will be reading it. Then we've got Finding Albion by Zakia Sewell. This is about to come out in paperback as well, so I'm holding off. It says here, Zakia Sewell is on a quest for another Britain. Traversing the length and breadth of our island from Somerset to Scotland, she's seeking out a different story, one that lies beyond divisive national myths and symbols. In Finding Albion, Zakia uncovers an alternative spirit of Britain that is vividly alive today. It's found in otherworldly folk songs, ancient legends, Celtic seasonal rites and mystic stone circles that punctuate our landscape. Her journey begins as the sun rises on the spring equinox over Glastonbury Tor, where she meets neo-pagans reclaiming traditions from our pre-Christian path. This feels like a podcast. Like, it feels like something I would really enjoy listening to in a podcast. At Summer's Peak at Notting Hill Carnival, she hears cultural echoes that passed along the slave trade routes from the Caribbean. On All Hallows Eve, she encounters the ghosts of the empire that are still haunting the nation, and in the depths of a Cornish winter, she asks if today's new folk revival could unite our increasingly divided country. Finding Albion brings a hopeful story of Britain out from the shadows, giving us a deeper sense of who we are and heralding the promise of a brighter future. It sounds great, doesn't it? Maybe I'll do that as an audiobook. I hadn't really planned to do that as an audiobook, but maybe I will. Oh. Right, I think we're down the sort of business end of this now. Let's have a look. I haven't been counted, so I should have been really. Yeah, right, we've got Nation of Strangers, Rebuilding Home in the 21st Century by East Tamulkuran. I think I've got a reservation on this one. This sounds super interesting. Dear stranger, are you home? Do you feel at home? For how much longer? Across the world, the number of refugees and exiles, the dispossessed and displaced, the politically homeless and the economically excluded is growing. In the decades since she left her own home, I'm going to learn how to say this as well because that's what we're here for, guys. How to pronounce the first name E-C-E. Oh, so it's Exile. Exile. There we go. I never would have got there if I hadn't looked it up. Ece Temolkaran has been a political Cassandra, warning those convinced it couldn't happen in their country that fascism is coming. Now, as oppression spreads and temperatures rise, as we face competing crises and learn again and again that no situation is so concrete it can't turn to dust, and no home is too strong to be destroyed, that she has written Nation of Strangers, a series of letters from one stranger to another. Politically attuned and deeply personal, the extraordinary, heartening correspondence is a gift to treasure in uncertain times. As poetic as it is precise, it is a book for anyone who feels alienated by an ever more monstrous world. It shows how, as we all become strangers, our homes will depend on the strength we find within one another. Instead of going back, I've just clicked off that page. What a knob. Oh, there we go. Right, we should be able to do that now. No. We should have been able to do. What a knob. Right, okay. And then we've got... Oh, it's all out of order now. Oh, God. Right, okay. I think the last two left were... I'll have to go back through, but I think the last two left. So I've got Don't Let It Break You, Honey by Jenny Evans, a memoir about saving yourself. I have this on Kindle. It's $3.99 on Kindle at the moment. And yeah, I watched back last night Charlie Brooks' video of her reacting to the long list with Jen the Librarian, and both of them said the same, in that the front cover really doesn't lead you to know what's going to go on in here. It's a beautiful bright pink and orange front cover, and I think the word honey in it sort of leads me to believe that it's going to be about something else, but it is not. This is the other one that is law, that has got stuff to do with law in it. Stuff to do with law. Look at me reducing it to that. Cast in a cult film at the age of 18, Jenny Evans was on the cusp of something extraordinary, a route out of her hometown, a future of promise. But the new world she was exploring crumbled around her when she was assaulted at a party by a high-profile figure. Jenny reported this crime to the police, and she became aware of other allegations of violence against the famous man, in capital letters. Shortly after doing so, details of what she had experienced were printed on a tabloid newspaper. Jenny trained as a journalist herself to try and find out how this happened. In the aftermath of devastation, she picked up those pieces and fought back against the systems that caused her harm. Her investigation helped expose the jaw-dropping press abuse and police corruption we now call the phone hacking scandal. Now training as a lawyer, Jenny is still working to fight for justice in a system that so horrifically fails its victims. Don't Let It Break You, Honey is a reckoning, a personal, fiercely compelling account of power, who holds it, who wields it, who is silenced in the process. It also asks urgent questions about fame, justice, and the institutions we have no choice but to trust, while offering something even more profound, hope. Because this is, above all, a story about resilience, and about finding your voice when the world wants to silence you and refusing to let them win. I can't fucking wait to read that. Right, and then I think the last one, I'm just going to go through just to check, because they're all in a different bloody order now than when I went on. Yeah, so the last one is, I'm very excited about this one, and this is Art Cure, The Science of How the Arts Transform Our Health by Daisy Fancourt. I've seen this around a lot of places, and when I was in Foyles on Wednesday, there was a big display of these books, and I almost bought it, but I put a reservation on it at the library instead. The thing is about non-fiction books is that they are expensive. They are expensive, they come out in hardback, they're expensive. So you're looking at sort of £20 to £30 for, but this is £20. I think this one might have been a bit cheaper actually. I think it was, oh, this is £16.99. So yeah. And because there were so many of them, I obviously knew I wouldn't be able to afford all of them. So I've lent heavy with my library, which also sort of paces it out a bit as well, because as they come in, if they've got lots of reservations on, like this one, the Art Cure does have, it means I've only got 3 weeks to read it before I've got to get it back, and I actually do get it read, so it works well for me as well. But here we go. I'm really excited about this. I think because it sort of it appeals to my self-help book previous life of, that was the only non-fiction I ever read, was sort of like self-improvement books, I'll say. Diet, sleep, exercise, nature, arts, question mark? Many of us consider making and consuming art to be a hobby or even a luxury, but what if arts engagement, from classical music to salsa, poetry to pop concerts, galleries to graffiti, was in fact one of our most powerful tools for unlocking health and happiness? What if art could help you live longer and even save your life? In Art Cure, world-leading expert and award-winning scientist Professor Daisy Fancourt reveals the life-changing powers of the arts, including how songs support the architectural development of children's brains,
Creative hobbies help our brains to stay resilient against dementia. Visual art and music acts just like drugs to reduce depression, stress and pain. Dance builds new neural pathways for people with brain injuries. Going to live music events, museums, exhibitions and the theatre decreases our risk of future loneliness and frailty. Engaging in the arts improves how, I mean, it's sounding good, isn't it? Improves the functioning of every major organ system in the body, and perhaps most importantly, how art helps us not only to survive, but to thrive and flourish. Fancourt draws on groundbreaking research in neuroscience, psychology, immunology, physiology, behavioural science and epidemiology, as well as inspiring true stories of people who have experienced radical change in their health to empower readers to improve their own health through the arts. Informed by the results of decades of scientific studies, Art Cure is the must-read, inspiring guide to improving your health, giving you the tools to write your own arts prescription. Yeah, so there we go. So like I said, a great fucking list. Really good, isn't it? And I've read 3 of them. I've got 2 on the go already. And have 2 locked and loaded here, ready to go. And then reservations on the rest of them. I think, for me, the ones I feel most excited about, I'm very, very excited to read The Art Cure. I'm very, very excited to read Finding Albion. And if I can pick one more, I'm very excited about. I mean, all of them. I'm trying to... Nation of Strangers does sound very, very interesting, but I'm also excited about Daughters of the Bamboo Grove. I think in terms of things that are going to shift down the list of things I'm excited about, Art in Siblings and Visionaries, because I haven't heard of those 2 people and it's over 500 pages. I feel a bit like, but that will be read in the spring anyway. Indignity, because of the is it going to be like what bits are going to be fact, what bits are going to be fiction. That's going to be tough for me. And then another one that I don't feel, The Genius of Trees, maybe, but there we go. I think it's a great list, and I'm very, very looking forward to reading it, and hopefully you enjoyed experiencing my thoughts on it, and would love to hear your thoughts on the list and what you're looking forward to reading, or what you've read, if you predicted any, yeah, what you think could be on the shortlist. And I think I'll go and get back to Be Young, Gifted and Black. Read another chapter of that with the rest of my cup of tea. Bye! It's lunchtime! David's having the meal of students.
Yeah.
Tuna pasta. And I'm having leftover noodles from last night. I must show you these bowls. I got these bowls for my birthday from David's sisters. They're from a company called Hokan Bowls. And I got 3 different sizes. I asked them to pick the colours and they picked this gorgeous colour. This is the big one, this is the little one. And then this is the medium one. And they're very... Oh, she's gone off. So you can put them in the microwave, in the oven, in the freezer. You can store food in them, you can serve food in them. And I haven't really used them, have I? I used them a little bit over Christmas. But yeah, last night when I put the rest of my noodles in there, see, look at that, they're just gorgeous. So, Hokan Bowls, great present for people who are, or indeed like leftovers. So yeah, but the other thing I wanted to show you is the lunch I've got today is leftover dinner from last night. It is Speedy Gochujang noodles, and these are, I mean, this is quite an old one, this is from September last year, but these are Waitrose recipe cards. And we've been so impressed with them, haven't we, David?
They're really good.
We've been...
All been bangers.
They've all been absolute bangers. So yeah, so Speedy Gochujang noodles, that's what I've got. David wouldn't be into that, he doesn't really like noodles. We've had fried rice with golden tofu, that was really nice as well. Red pepper and almond linguine. This week we had tomato, chilli and prawn linguine. All of these are free from Waitrose, just need to get them in there. Although when we went in on Wednesday there were none in there. And then I've also got tom yum style tempeh soup, which I don't think David will like. But we shall try it, and I'll have to amend that because that uses chicken cooking broth. But I've seen lots of different broth around. Anyway, so I'm going to heat these up in the microwave, chop up some nuts to put on top of it, and then we're going to watch an episode of Hijack on David's lunch, and then David will get back to lunch and I'll do a bit more reading, and we'll carry on with the day. Let's get heating. Happy Valentine's Day! I've got a new, I've also got very filthy glasses, but I've got a new cap that David got me. I'm very, very pleased with it. And I also got Wind in the Willows, which I read when I was a child, but I saw that Lena had put it on her best books of the year last year, and I thought, oh, I'd love to own a copy of that and have a nice read through it. And I've literally just read the first paragraph and it was so comfy and warm and springish. So this is definitely going on my spring TBR, definitely. Yeah, I'll put that over here so I can definitely say that it will. And I also got slippers, which are on my feet right now. You want to see? Slip, 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 slips. Slippies. David couldn't wait to buy me new slippers because my old slippers stink. So, yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with all my presents. And, oh, David's going to show you his presents. Cute. What have you got all down your top?
Don't know.
Bits. He's got a new bottle because what happened to your last bottle?
Dented.
Dented, and then you were using my bottle, which wasn't the best bottle.
No.
But this is a Tate one. I do like it. It reminds me a little bit of the Olympics. I don't know why.
I like it.
He's got a new Chili's bottle and also this. And he does deserve a little treat. Am I your little treat?
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. We've got some pastries. We had a bag of pastries. Is it just one pastry each?
Yeah.
We had some leftover pastries in the freezer, so we're having those for breakfast. He's made a cup of tea. And yeah, I'm going to go over and finish East Side Voices, because last night I finished To Be Young, Gifted and Black. It was bloody brilliant. Really, really heartfelt and warm and loving and caring, but dealing with some really important topics. And yeah, highly, highly recommend. Would like this on the shortlist, please. And now I've got one more essay left in East Side Voices. So well done me. So yeah, so I think I'm going to go and sit over there now. How long until pastries are done, David?
A few more minutes, I think.
Just a few more minutes. And then what should we do? Get ready. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Dabby's being really cute this morning. Are you being a cute girl because it's Valentine's Day?
Are you keeping this?
No. You haven't got a present though, Daphne, because it's not your day. Cool. Right, okay. I'm going to go and sit over there and finish. Oh! My niece is here. Here she comes, whizzing around the corner on her scooter. Cute. We've come to the beach for a Valentine's walk. Hold hands, Valentines. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Bright and cold and all our favourite things. I've got my new hat on, and yes, it is hurting my head because I've got such a big, massive head, but it's lovely. And we've come down with my niece and my sister, and my niece is on her scooter. We've just bumped into some friends. It's a lovely day, isn't it? Are you warm enough?
Yeah, just about.
I'm very warm in this coat. There's nothing getting past this coat. I'm going to walk to the end. I'm going to turn around. Beautiful day. Why is it scary?
Look at that rock tower.
Rock tower.
Maybe that's how far the sea comes.
Yeah, probably. Right, go on to the end and then turn around. Oh, lovely day.
Oh.
Back from a walk, it was lovely. And then we stopped for a cup of tea at the sisters. And yeah, helped my niece do a bit of cross stitch that I bought her. She's a bit like her auntie, gets pissed off pretty quick if things aren't working out for her. So we're going out for a meal tomorrow for my nan's birthday, so I told her to bring it with her then. Anyway, we're about to enter, it's just gone, well, it's 5:15. We're about to enter the evening's events of Valentine's Day. We're starting by making some candle pottery stuff. I'm not going to make the candle today, we're just going to make the pottery. But this is going in another video. So you won't see me and David doing this now, because this is going to go in the video whereby I'm doing a hobbies video every month, and February is going to be air dry clay month. Starting on the 14th of February, she hasn't done any air dry claying yet, with this. So yes, we will see the other side of that for heart-shaped pizzas, a bath, casualty, and maybe a little board game, if I can convince David. Romance! The heart-shaped pizzas are in the oven. We're also having chips. It's a gusto recipe. The one with all the cheeses. And it has got all the cheeses, and mine's got even more of the cheeses on it because it's got Stilton on it, and David won't touch Stilton. But, so, oh my God, you might be touching Stilton.
Oh,
It's absolutely exploded. Shit. Okay, well, pizza explosion.
wow.
Alexa, how long is on the timer?
You have 4 minutes and 50 seconds
Wow.
left on your 15
Wowzers.
minutes.
Don't really know what to do about that. Just hope for the best, I
Just
guess.
embrace it.
Embrace it. Happy cheese pizza Valentine's Day. They
Yummy.
completely went. That's David's one. This is my one. I'll show you my one. Would you say that's heart-shaped? Maybe.
Yeah, I
And this
think
is
deep
David's
down.
one. David's one survived a little better, but the cheese just exploded. Anyway, we've got to go because, whoa! We've got to go because we're watching Casualty, and it's very, very important. Something big happening tonight in Casualty. And then we think it'll be time for slow horses. Hello! The pizzas were lovely. Really, really lovely. I mean, they're completely overblown and they did not look like hearts by the end of it, which is why you didn't see them properly looking like hearts. But yeah, it was nice, and we just finished watching Casualty and we're about to settle into some slow horses. So I thought I would wrap up the video. So the first part for wrapping up is answering that question I've been thinking about quite a lot, actually. So the question was, you're hosting a fantastical literary dinner party where the guests eat the novels. What do you choose to serve for an entree? That's starter to me. Main and dessert. I've picked. So I've picked, because I just thought it was going to be too broad if I end up picking from like all books ever. So I picked from my my favourite shelf. And I'm going for the entree or the starter. I'm going to pick Nigel Slater's 1,000 Feasts, just because there's so much little nuggets of yum yum in here. Be it like little excerpts about talking about Nigel's trip to Japan, or Nigel's brush collection, or Nigel's view from his kitchen window and things like that. And I just think for a starter, I like lots of little bits, and this feels like the good representation of that. Then for the main, I've gone for Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, because this has just got everything in here. It's sort of got betrayal, suspicions, a very unusual housekeeper, past lovers, an investigation, potential murder, all sorts of stuff going on in here, and I feel like there's enough for you to get your teeth into as a main. And then for dessert, because I'm not a hugely desserty person, and I would always opt for cheese at the end of the meal if there's like a good cheese option, I've gone for Reach for the Stars, which is all about the cheesy pop of the 90s, by Michael Cragg, which is a really, really great non-fiction book that I read a couple of years ago, and goes into deep depths about all the bands and the singers and everything in the 90s, so 90s and 2000s in fact. So there we go. Those are the books for the question. Do let me know. I really enjoyed picking those out actually. And now I'm going to read the entry from today's Black History for every day of the year. And as I said, it's all about Frederick Douglass. So let me go and read about Frederick, and then I will report back to you, and then we'll go to bed. All right. Frederick Douglass. The reason we're talking about Frederick Douglass on the 14th of February is because Frederick Douglass picked his own name and indeed his own birthday, which he picked as the 14th of February. He is a huge figure in the sort of abolition of slavery. He was a slave. He was married to a freed black woman, and spent much of his life living in Massachusetts, but was very frightened that his slave owner was going to come and re-enslave him at any point. So he decided to leave Massachusetts, and he spent a period of time in Britain, whereby he eventually in Newcastle got a group of people to raise the funds to buy Douglas his freedom from his American owner, and after that point he was able to return to America a free man, and went on to write a number of autobiographies and books about slavery. And yeah, he campaigned for the release of 3 million Africans who were still enslaved on American soil. He died on the 20th of February, and he was 76 when he died. And the night he died, he had spoken at a women's suffrage talk. So he was an activist until the end. So there we go. All about Frederick Douglass. I'm very much enjoying doing all of this learning, and hopefully you are too. So there we go. Hopefully you're having a lovely Sunday, and I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye.